The Dallas Cowboys suffered a tough loss on Monday Night Football where they, frankly, almost should have won after a block punt. But then if you watched the game, you saw what happened after a Leon Lett type situation happened for the Dallas Cowboys where the Bengals were able to recover the ball and scored pretty quickly. I think, was it the next play? Might have been the next play.
It was like within 2 or 3 plays, yeah.
2 or 3 plays later. So tough loss for them, really hurting their playoff hopes to try and stay in the playoff hunt. They're now traveling to Carolina, who is playing really well, especially offensively. Bryce Young's having a good resurgence. And so it's going to be a fun game to watch. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this Week 15 matchup between the Cowboys and Panthers. But before we do that, if you do like the work that we provide, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game and why. Ryan, we're recording this right after the Monday Night Football game, and just a unique game as well because it's hard to really tell like the Dallas Cowboys offense overall, like with Cooper Rush like leading the way. I thought this defense actually played decently well. They're getting healthier, and they were able to kind of, I say, slow down this Bengals offense. Like Joe Burrow still threw for 330 plus yards, but like that's almost seems like a given now. Like he's going to throw for 300 against any defense. But I thought they played better, got after him decently well as they're getting healthier, but still just weren't able to pull it out. Had actually a really good rushing performance randomly. They're one of the worst rushing teams in the league. But they're going to be going up against a Panthers team who offensively has been clicking as well. Bryce Young's been playing a lot better, but their defense is also struggling as well. What are some of the things that you think both these teams need to focus on going into this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cowboys need to continue to progress on the defensive side of the ball. They did play better. I'll push back. I think the Bengals only had to punt a couple times. And most of the times I felt like it came after a Cincinnati penalty, or if they did get a sack and force a long third down.
That's fair.
Then that's good for them. The other time that they stopped them was the Joe Burrow interception. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see the overall stats. I need to go back and look at, we're recording this right after that game finished. So I need to go back and look at the final stats for that game. But in this game, the Panthers, I know they've only won one game in the last like 8. No, I'm sorry, they won two in their 2 of their last 5. But this team, like if you look, they took the Chiefs to overtime. They played the Buccaneers really tough, and then they played the Eagles tough. They had the Eagles on the ropes there for a little bit, and then so it's just been a tough set of games for this Panthers team. But Bryce Young, you can really start to see him clicking with his wide receivers. Xavier Legette has come on as their leading wide receiver. Chuba Hubbard is having a really good year. Fortunate news about Jonathan Brooks tearing his ACL again. That's very sad, especially as somebody who is excited enough to draft him on his fantasy team and hold on to him for this long. It's just really sad to see that happen again. But hopefully next year he can make the comeback and be back in time and have a good year next year. But this defense too, they haven't solved their issues, but they're playing better to the point where like they're making teams have to methodically move the ball on them. And I think that's just been an improvement in and of itself. And this Cowboys team, they're just so banged up. Offensively, they can't run the ball outside of the Bengals game, I know. And outside of CeeDee Lamb, like Brandon Cooks has come back and been a good accessory, but they just don't have anything super explosive outside of CeeDee Lamb that really threatens the defense. And he's been banged up dealing with shoulder injuries, and it's just been a tough year for the Cowboys. And this is a tough road matchup for them. This Carolina Panthers team has been playing really, really well.
Well, and that's one, and it's like CeeDee Lamb is your number one for a reason, but even too with Cooper Rush out there, like CeeDee Lamb is great enough to where he can be a Band-Aid for Cooper Rush. Like even tonight, 6 catches, 93 yards on 7 targets, and he had a touchdown. So it's like he's extremely good enough to where like a backup quarterback like Cooper Rush is like your first read should be like, hey, CeeDee Lamb, like please be open, you know. But then all the other guys, and to be fair, that's why they're number 2, number 3 type guys, but they're just not good enough to elevate Cooper Rush. And then at the same time too, outside of tonight, it's not really like this is a good running team overall. And they're having issues on the offensive line as well. with injuries. But they're going to be going up against a team, and I think, like you said, with the Panthers, not really like their talent has changed overall, but I think what has helped them out a lot on the defensive side of the ball has been the success of the offense. Get maybe a little more rest time. A little bit easier, I think, to play defense if you have a lead or if you're contending for leads or whatnot back and forth, instead of it maybe being kind of pretty similar game plan, like we're just going to run against you guys. That being said, they are the worst rushing defense, 32nd overall when it comes to rushing yards allowed. 170 rushing yards allowed. Holy cow, that's insane. Yeah, geez, they've given up over 200 these past two games to the Philly and to Tampa Bay. 165 to Kansas City. Holy cow, they've only had one game where they haven't given up over 100 rushing yards. I knew that already, but I forgot how bad that this rushing defense is. So that's just going to be very interesting for the Dallas Cowboys team. Can they replicate their rushing performance as what it was like tonight against Cincinnati, who also is extremely bad?
I believe they're the 31st ranked rushing defense.
They're 23rd overall.
Oh, 23rd.
So they average 128. But that being said, though, I do need to update these stats here. So I should have done that before we started recording. But they're not good. Like maybe they're 24th to 25th overall. So that's just going to be very interesting overall as this Carolina Panthers team that can give up a bunch of rushing yards. Do you lean on Rico Dowdle, take a little bit of pressure off of Cooper Rush, and then it's going to open things up for CeeDee Lamb, who is going to get some interesting matchups here. I mean, with J.C. Horn playing for the team as well. And then who's their other corner? Because they're not playing horribly either.
I do not know.
If I fully admit. Let me pull it up right here. Sorry. I have PFF up.
No, you're good. But no, I just think this Panthers team, they're a young team that's kind of figuring out the NFL right
Jackson. Now. That's it.
But they're a young team that's kind of figuring out the NFL, and I'll kick us off with picks here.
Jackson.
I'm gonna go with Carolina. I just think they're the hotter team. I think that loss to Cincinnati is extremely frustrating for the Dallas Cowboys. You saw the images of Micah Parsons walking off the field early, and I feel struggles with the Cowboys maybe buying in, especially after such a devastating loss, when with 1:40 or something to go, you had it in your grasps and you muffed it, to say the least.
Literally. Well, especially too for this game as well, because with the Cowboys being 5-7, you win that game 6-7. You're 2 games back from Washington with a game to play against them as well. And when you look at their schedule coming up, like Carolina, that's a very winnable game. You got Tampa Bay and then at Philly. I mean, those are going to be 2 tough games, but it's not that you couldn't beat them or maybe have some things go your way, and you're hosting Tampa Bay and you're hosting Washington in Week 18. So, like, there are some ways that they have some avenues for success. But now, though, 3 games back from Washington with 4 to play, that's just going to be really tough to come back.
Yeah,
it really was a almost season-ending blunder.
Yeah,
and by the guy, what was his name? I'll go pull it up here now.
Oh no, I'm sure it'll be on the ESPN lowlights though.
Yeah. So punt. It was Deron Bland.
Oh, it was Deron Bland. Interesting.
Oh, that wasn't him though. Do they have to count the? Oh no, sorry. No. I saw fumble. I'm looking at the wrong one. M. Ninjamata recovered it. Arroyo for Dallas.
Oh, Amani Oruwariye.
It's amazing how we're brothers, and your pronunciation of names is so much better than mine. I majored in rhetoric, but I also had a list. I couldn't say my R's. So
yeah, you're stupid.
Well, that's those are 2 totally separate things.
Yeah.
Me having a list growing up and me being stupid are not related. Just stupid.
That unfortunately is genetic. Thanks, Dad. But no. So I also I feel like I watch more of like the prospects. Like I remember when he was a cornerback prospect coming out of college. Like so I remember the names from that.
Sure.
I would not be able to to enunciate that without having heard it before. So
without practice. Makes sense.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to this game. I'm taking the Panthers. Who are you taking?
I'm also going to go with the Panthers here on this one. They're going to have to somehow find a way to not give up 200 yards rushing. But I do think this offense is clicking, and I think they're finding some good rhythm here. I think Dave Canales' his system is now coming into play. And I kind of agree with you, though, too. Like, this is going to be tough on a shortened week with everything going on. With Dallas, like this seems kind of like a trap game. You're like, now, like, kind of what's the point? And so I say on top of that too, though, it's not really like Cooper Rush can be super effective over. He's good, and as a good is a strong word. He's fine. Like he's a backup quarterback, and I think that's another way like where they won't get exploited nearly as much by this offense just because he's quarterback. Now, if it's Dak, then I think that'd be different.
Yeah,
I think we'd probably be going with Dak here. It'd be a fun game. But this is going to be a good game overall. It's going to be fun to see Bryce Young keep developing. Love seeing him smile out there. It looks like he's having fun. Last year sucked for him. And so glad to see him starting to do well. I think he's got a good system going on.
Yeah, no, and I think Dave Canales was the best thing that could have happened to him. And honestly, I think you go look at Bryce Young and then also Anthony Richardson taking a break in the middle of the season where just they had like 2-3 weeks to just kind of gather their thoughts, go down and improve and put their head down and work, and then come back in and be a totally different quarterback. I think is a strategy that we might see more often with some of these young quarterbacks that start to struggle. So
yeah,
all in all, we are both taking the Panthers in this one. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Dallas Cowboys? Will it be the Carolina Panthers? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.